Hello and greetings to all. The title of this video is Tonantzin Coatlicue, or Divine Feminine. I'm going to start off with this excerpt from the book that I'm currently reading. It's called The Evolved Masculine by Destin Gerek. And he says in his book, I'll put the information in the description so y'all can look it up because it's a pretty good book. Creating beauty and noticing the beauty in the world is a natural expression of the feminine. How does this gravitate back to Coatlicue? I was thinking yesterday or a couple of days ago, the expression that we use in our Western reality, God bless you. I had been reading this book written by a pagan, and she would use the expression, may the God and Goddess bless you. A lot of other pagans who are rebelling against the patriarchy are employing expressions that allude to the feminine aspect of duality. May the goddess bless you and whatnot. Now, drawing on this perspective of the masculine God, normally when you confront Christians, because I was a Christian for 15 years, so I think I know a thing or two about what I'm talking about when it comes to Christianity. When you confront religious authorities, particularly pastors, preachers, about the gender of God, you'll either get, a very masculine, aspect of God. I mean, it's in the name, God, not goddess, not she, God. The Bible and evangelicals utilize the male pronouns, he, his, him, whatever. Others will say, the ones that are a little more esoteric, I guess, more woke, simply put, might possibly explain to you that God is over gender, which is essentially the way I would see it. He is outside of the experience of duality that he created. Then when you go into paganism, or not necessarily, when you say paganism, you normally refer to European paganism, the Celts, all these pre-Christianized peoples. But paganism as a whole is anything and anybody who is not Christian, and as Christianity spread, they had the core message of Jesus, of the one triune God, three in one. So anybody that they encountered who had these other gods and goddesses was automatically a pagan. So even though it's not necessarily fair to use it, to employ it, to describe indigenous Americans or indigenous people elsewhere, it's more of an umbrella term. So that's the way I'm using it myself. You have the concepts of the sacred duality. Who's not familiar with the yin and yang, black and white? There's a speck of white in the black and a speck of black in the white. Speaking of Mexica, of indigenous cosmology, we have the concept of our Lord and Lady givers of flesh. There's the concept of Ometeotl, which is simplistically dual energy. Omesiwatl, which would be the feminine energy, and Ometecutli, which would be the masculine. They come together to form Ometeotl. A lot of people steer away from the term Ometeotl because, pan-indigenous or New Age shamans and stuff use it, the same way that you would use aho, even though aho is an expression, and sorry if I'm not saying it right, pertinent to a certain amount of people. So you can also use Lakota expressions, because when you enter the New Ager indigenous melting pot, there's a lot of Lakota traditions, the more salient. You're going to see dream catchers, which are Ojibwa. You're going to see sweat lodges, you're going to see teepees. There's all this mixture, and that's what a lot of people steer away from. But yeah, the sacred duality. This brings us back to Tonantzin Coatlicue, the central topic of the video. Now, when you read the tale of Huitzilopochtli, or when you learn about it, the central character is once again a masculine character, a hero, a god man, a god son, or whatever. So it, since we've been indoctrinated to, always see the masculine as the heroic character. We can also apply that same thinking to the tale of Huitzilopochtli. Well, Coatlicue was said to have killed her husband. She committed a treacherous act, so she was secluded to the Coatepec, to complete her penance or whatnot. But here, what redeemed her was this feather that came down from heaven and impregnated her with the Son of God, the Son of the Gods, Huitzilopochtli. So it was necessary for Huitzilopochtli to be born from within her to redeem her. So once again, it in our colonized minds, we might see it as putting the feminine aspect down. But in reality, once we're decolonizing, we see the divine feminine involved. Huitzilopochtli could have been born out of nothing. Going back to the Jesus tale, he was a son of God. He was a son of the Creator who created the heavens and the earth in 7 days. God could have just snapped his fingers and Jesus would have immaterialized out of nothing. The same thing with Huitzilopochtli. He was a cultural hero, and he teaches us the invaluable lesson of willpower, of discipline, of sticking to your word. But he was born of a woman, if you want to call her that, because in reality she was, I don't know, the closest thing I could call her is a deity, a mother goddess, but it's still the feminine aspect. So, I was thinking of this whenever we want to birth something, not necessarily birth by natural and physical means, we have to think about the parents that are involved. For instance, I'm a writer, and what keeps me from writing is the distractions. This device right here, I use it to read books, which is edifying, of course. But social media, YouTube binges, that keeps me from my craft. So if I want to bring forth my craft, which is literature, which is writing, I have to think about the two parents involved. The passive, negative aspect, possibly the feminine, and the active, dominant, masculine. To me, and this is not, to be misogynist or sexist or whatnot, but to me, the masculine, especially I had a very militant father, so nothing bad about it. I remember the invaluable lessons from him, but to me, the masculine, active, dominant aspect is, putting my phone away, getting rid of all these distractions and actually having the discipline to devote time to write. The feminine aspect, the passive, would be the flow of ideas. Going back to what I read to you all from the book that I'm reading, creating beauty and noticing the beauty in the world is a natural expression of the feminine. We allow our imaginations to run wild. When you're painting, I'm saying in particular, if there's flowers or there's colors involved, you let that rigidity kind of come off. So just to sum up the video, hopefully it wasn't all over the place. We hear a lot about the sacred masculinity and divine feminine, and a lot of it is being imported like everything else from the old world. But let's remember that here in Anahuac, we had these concepts already. We had the divine masculine of Huitzilopochtli, of willpower, of deliverance of the flesh, but we also have the divine femininity, which births, which allows itself to contain the divine, to birth the divine. So I hope that this video adds on to the topic of Huitzilopochtli. I know I hadn't recorded in a while, so please like, comment, and share.